Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
Samhita ki jai.
Jai.
Yesham Krishna samudharta tesham hanta na kaschana vidhinam na balam teshu bhaktanam putra bandhanam vishwasa vishayeram ye nadichita dravarupini तस्यां तु पितरं मग्नम् उद्धृत्य लीलया हरि दर्शयामास वैकुण्ठं गोपेभ्यो हरिरात्मना ऐश्वर्यं कृष्ण तत्त्वे तु सर्वदा निहितं किल जीवानां नित्यसिद्धानाम् अनुगतानामपि प्रिय अकरोदरासलीलां वै प्रीति तत्त्वप्रकाशिकाम् अतर्धानवियोगेन वर्धयन् स्मरमुत्तमम् गोपिकारा सचक्रेतु नर्तकृपया हरि जरात्मके यथा विश्वे ध्रुवस्याकर्षणात् किल भ्रमन्ति मन्दकाकारः सूर्यग्रहसङ्कुला तथा चिद्विषये कृष्णस्याकर्षण बलादपि भ्रमन्ति नित्यसो जीव श्रीकृष्णे मध्यगे सति महरसविहारेऽस्मिन् पुरुष कृष्ण एव हि सर्वे नारीगणास्तत्र भोग्या भोक्तृविचारत तत्रैव परमाराध्या लादिनी कृष्णभासिनी भावै सारसमध्यस्था सखिभिः राधिकावृत महारासविहारान्ते जलक्रीडा स्वभावत वर्तते यमुनायां वै द्रवमयं सतां किल मुक्त्या हि ग्रस्तनन्दस्तु कृष्णेन मोचितस्तदा यशमूर्धा सुधुर्दान्तशङ्खच्युतो हता पुरा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल जय भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर जय भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर जय भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर जय भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय गो प्रमंदी हरि हरि बोल श्री भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. Actually, would you like to read it? You don't get a chance to read the English if you want.
Yes, Sarvu.
Okay.
No one can destroy one whom Krishna wants to protect. The strength of regulations cannot influence such persons. What to speak of the bondage of regulations? Nothing other than the bondage of love for the Lord can bind the devotees. In Sri Vrindavan, the land of faith, the Yamuna, the personification of spiritual liquid, flows. Nanda Maharaj was merged in that water, and the Lord delivered him as part of his pastimes. Thereafter, Krishna mercifully displayed the truth and opulence of Vaikuntha to the cowherd men. This shows that Krishna's sweetness is so prominent that his opulences become covered by its presence. The Lord, who is very dear to the eternally perfect living entities and their followers, performed his Rasalila, which is the culmination of ecstatic love. After the most merciful Lord increased the amorous love of the gopis by suddenly disappearing from them, he began to dance in the circle of the Ras Lila. In this material world, which is created by Maya, there is a principal constellation named Dhruva. All the suns, along with their planets, continually circle around Dhruv by its power of attraction. The main consideration is that there is an energy known as attraction in all material atoms. By the strength of this energy, atoms are attracted to each other and they thus create a globular planet. When these planets are attracted to a larger globular planet, they begin to move around it. This is the invariable law of this material world. Maya is the basis of the material world and only a reflection of the spiritual world. This has already been explained previously while discussing the energies of the Lord. By the eternal constitution in the form of love, the spark life conscious living entities in the spiritual world are attracted to one another and they imitate one with more elevated consciousness. Those more elevated conscious persons with their subordinate conscious associates constantly move in the Ras Lila circle of Krishna, who is the superconscious supreme Dhruva. Therefore, the great Ras Lila pastimes are eternally manifest in the realm of Vaikuntha. In the spiritual world, the ever existing attachment extends love up to Mahabhav, and in the material world, the reflection extends as an inconceivable material attraction that creates variegated nature. In order to illustrate subtle truths by gross examples, we can say that in the material world, the sun, along with the planets, are constantly moving around the Dhruv constellation by the strength of its attraction, just as all pure living entities eternally circle around Krishna by the strength of his attraction. In the transcendental Ras Lila pastimes, Sri Krishna is the only enjoyer and all others are enjoyed. The conclusion is that the sun-like personality of the spiritual world, Lord Shri Krishna, is the only male, and the living entities are all female. All the relationships of the spiritual world are based on pure love. One therefore finds the enjoyer is male and the enjoyed are female. The males and females of the material world are perverted reflections of the enjoyer and the enjoyed of the spiritual world. If one searches through all dictionaries, one will not find the words so properly describe the spiritual pastimes of the supremely conscious Lord and his associates. Hence, the descriptions of the men and women of the material world are used here as an appropriate indication. There is no necessity or suggestion of obscene thoughts in this regard. If you reject these activities as obscene, then we miss the opportunity to discuss the supreme pastime. We are able to describe the truths of Vaikuntha by describing mundane emotions as the reflections of spiritual emotions. There is no other alternative in this regard. For example, Krishna is merciful. But to show how Krishna is merciful, one has to give the example of certain persons who are merciful. There is no way of expressing this quality other than by giving a well-known example. Therefore, swan-like persons should give up shyness and obscene considerations and then hear, read, and think about the transcendental topics of the Ras Lila without anxiety. The topmost expression of the Ras Lila is that Srimati Radhika, who is the personification of Hladini, who manifests the sweetness of Krishna and who is supremely worshipable by the living entities, is surrounded by the Sakhis, who are the personifications of various emotions and beautifully situated in the Ras dance. After the Ras Lila dance, the water sports in the spiritual waters of the Yamuna naturally take place. When Maharaj Nand, who is personified happiness, was swallowed by the snake, who personifies merging with the Supreme, Krishna, the protector of the devotees, rescued him from danger. Sankachud was the personification of fame because he was considered fame as his life and soul. He was killed while trying to create disturbances in Fraj. Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna, well done. It's a huge translation. And
Yeah,
this is
so
well done
much
to you.
detail,
Sorry?
so many details given.
Yeah, it is amazing about Dhruv. That's a really good explanation as well. Very interesting, very detailed, as you said. So the Priti Pravatta Samarambe by Bhaktivinod Thakur in the Krishna Samhita, Chapter 5, Krishna Lila Varnanam, Part 2. Jai. Bhaktivinod Thakur ki jai. Good. Okay, so